Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Rift. Today I have the pleasure to talk with AD carry from X7, currently Attila, the Portuguese stallion. How you doing, my man?
Hello, I'm doing fantastic. Like, couldn't be better. Only with
Okay,
an LC maybe trophy. Maybe.
we kind of started the interview a few minutes ago, but my
Mhm,
recording PC didn't want to have your sound, so I kind of got spoiled of a few questions, but I
mhm,
want to bring them anyway because it's really important for the viewer to get to know
mhm.
you, Attila. When did you start playing, and how did you got into League of Legends?
Well, basically, I come from a humble family, and my father has always been this kind of person that embraced video games, even from the early stages, right? Like nowadays, video games are something standard that you do, but before it was like much more rare. And I'm not even talking like before grandpa ages, right? I'm talking like 20 years ago, like even like it was really rare that people played a lot and you were considered a nerd. No, nowadays it's just like, oh yeah, cool, you play video games. You know, everyone does. Like on mobile phone, they just casually play them. So my father always embraced them, and therefore I was there as well, right? I got raised by my father's side, and he was really bad at it. Like what happens to most of us, right? Like we always are really bad at like some video games happens, but he was pretty bad at like everything, kind of. So basically, he will always ask me to play for him, and for some reason, a really young lad like I was back then, I was pretty good at it, right? Or at least I remember like this, right? We always have like these memories. We were really insane at everything we did when we were kids, and it was really pathetic when you see it filmed. But at least I could manage to pass the levels and all the stuff. And so therefore, like I started like really enjoying it, and I started with like the classics, really OGs, like the Pac-Man, the Mario before like it was popular, and Zelda and all this stuff, and then just slowly grinded my way back to single games and single sagas like Resident Evil. Wait, what else? Oh, God of War as well. I really enjoyed them, and Kingdom Hearts and all these games. And yeah, and then my ex brother-in-law got engaged with my sister when she was around 20 years old. I was 14, if I'm not mistaken, 14, 13, like on that year. And he just showed me League of Legends. And I'm like, oh, I'm really bad at this game, you know. And normally, normally when I'm not able to do something, I'm just like this try harder in life that gets it really personal. You know, it's like, oh, this is a challenge, you know, like I'm bad at it, I'm going to become really good. So that's kind of when I started season one League of Legends.
Attila, if you're trying so many games like that, have you tried CS:GO or the shooters or something like that, other esports games?
Mhm. I did try them, yes. Like I did try like for example, I played Dota as well
Hmm.
after I got engaged with League of Legends, like early League of Legends, right?
You cheated
Like
on League
I
of
was
Legends.
yeah,
What?
like I started playing League and then I was like, it's okay, you know, I'm really bad at it, but it's okay. And then like I was like, oh, who made League of Legends? And it was Dota, and back then there was Dota 2, and I tried it and I actually genuinely liked it as well. That's
Hmm.
why as well I have my minimap on left because on Dota it's on the left, and now I got used to it. And yeah, like after like I played CS:GO as well. I think like CS:GO is an amazing game to watch. You know, just like Valorant. I think like it's very entertaining and very easy to actually know what's happening. Kind of like CS:GO a little bit easier than Valorant. But yeah, I actually did play these games. I'm not the greatest. I'm not the worst. I don't spend much time on it, but I do really like competitive games where you just have to face off people and just show who's the dominant one.
I was fishing for that because I want to understand. You tried other games, you tried other competitive games. That could be your career. So why do you think League of Legends is going to be your career, the one and only? Why are you married to League of Legends?
I will say it just happened. You know, like when you meet this one person that you were really not looking forward, and then it becomes everything for you. It kind of happened. Like me, League of Legends wise,
Nice.
I just met League of Legends. I was really bad at it. Like really, I could not even speak English. I did not know what happened back then. League of Legends had like only any server, then they moved it to Europe, but before it was only in English, you know, like the really old League of Legends. So I was really bad at it, and I was playing with a lot of lag, not knowing what was happening because I could barely speak English, and I was
Mhm.
playing on a laptop, you know, and it was my first PC game as well. So I was like, oof, where's my controller? You know, like what is this mouse and keyboard? Like what? You know, I was really strange with all the situation, and basically, it was a challenge. So I
Mhm.
became good at it, and when I became good at it, I became kind of good. You know, like challenger good, like top 200 Europe. And then suddenly, like without me knowing, I think I was like 16 years old or something like this. For some reason, people knew I was Portuguese, and Portuguese team contacted me and they said, "Hey, we can pay some stuff for you if you just play under our name." And I thought that was amazing. I was like, "What? You're gonna just pay me trouble so I can play for you?" Like, I'm in, like I'm all the way in. And I remember actually my first LAN, my first tournament was DreamHack Valencia in 2016, 2015. I was really young, and I really enjoyed it. I crazy enjoyed it. I was really shaking. I was really, really shaking and really nervous, but I really liked it. And then ever since then, I was like, hey, I want to have this experience more times. I want to have this, but on a high level. And then it just kind of became like habit, like I just woke up, tried my best in League of Legends, and then I went to events and I started winning them as well.
And it just clicked. And back in the day, people knew you from a different name. So I'm going to switch the way people approach this subject. I want to know what Attila means to you, because you shifted from a really well-known name. You stepped on the ADC with that name, and now you got Attila. What does Attila mean to you specifically?
I mean, I just wanted to feel myself. Like back then, right when I went to the LEC, I was like playing under the nickname of Trupax. Like I got this name when I was 13 years old. Why? Because basically it's real simple, right? Like the guy that showed me the game was my ex-brother-in-law, who was called Trupax. So I was like, oh, I'm small, I'm 13 years old, I'm just mini, and then when I put Trupax, and that stayed kind of. And I never really thought about like going competitive. I was just enjoying, I was playing for fun. And then everything stepped up like so fast, like literally like 2 years, and then I was like back on the top that I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh, wait, people know me by this nickname, and I wanted something that actually had to do with me as well. When I was on LEC, my sister had like broken up with my ex-brother-in-law, so I just felt like it was not as personal as it could be. I just wanted something that when people said it, like, like I just wanted to feel myself. Yeah. So like I remember it. Like I was actually planning it while I was in a Korean bootcamp from spring split to summer. I was actually just in Korea, like in the other part of the continent, like all the way from Europe to Korea, just sitting on a hotel, just thinking, what nickname do I have to pick? Like what does ring like the bell? I want something that rings the bell. And I thought about a lot of them, I just thought like if I will get something like, I don't know, like something Greek or something like this, I will feel like, oh yeah, I'm not a god, It's gonna be like, I will do that if I was 14 years old. So I'm just gonna think about something that actually represents me. And I just thought like I was searching through like history and all this stuff, and I just saw Attila the Hun, right? Like this guy that was really crazy in the head, but at the same time he was actually feared and respected in some way. Like all people that are a bit crazy in the head, they are always good on some aspects, right? Like all leaders, even if they're like bad leaders per se. So I just thought like Attila Han was someone that was actually, feared and was a commandant, right? Like was someone that when he stepped, the grass never grew again, right? So I kinda liked it. I really like thought it was me when I'm playing. I'm a bit more aggressive when I'm I'm a player. Like I'm a bit like this guy that just drones switch off and I just hate everyone when I'm playing, and then I'm just back to being like nice guy when I'm outside the rift. But when I play, I'm really aggressive and I just kind of make it everything be personal. So I find like extra motivation every time I play. So I just thought, yeah, why not? Like it fits me and it sounds good. So why not?
It does fit, because when you are inside of the rift, you are really crazy, and everybody talks about that. So ever since I started casting you back in the day, I've heard a lot of the community saying like, oh, he's really toxic, and I never agree with that. I know you're a frisky little bugger, I'm gonna give you that. But I want to know what is your personality inside of a team, because so far I've met your teammates, I've talked with them, and most of them have a different point of view from what the community is able to see. So what do you think is the reason that everybody looks at you, like the community, the people that are not playing with you, like, oh, he's a crazy little player, man, I don't know what is happening there, but there's more in depth to Attila?
I mean, it's just like what you see from the outside than what you see on the inside, right? Like I think it's hard to know like how a player is or how he behaves without having played with him. And even sometimes like there are splits from splits, sometimes like players change actually. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, back then when I was like younger, I was like a bit I was a heated guy per se. I was actually someone that was heated, like on a good way per se. I was not heated because I'm just angry, but more because I really really wanted to win, and then I focused that not on the best way possible. But I think like with the time, I just obviously I just matured a lot, and then now I'm just trying to incorporate whatever it takes to be a winner. I don't know. I don't remember who said it, but probably some athlete or some stuff. Like I always try to get those best quotes that come from experience,
Yeah.
and then put them on my thought process and all this stuff. And someone said that I don't need to be a superstar on my team as long as I'm winning. But if my team needs me to be the superstar, I'll be so be it. Like something like this. So like it depends a lot from the teams that how I am and how I behave on the team. Like. But so far, I will say like probably in my last 3 years, 4 years that I've been on Giants, and now I'm on X7. I had to be kind of like this role model per se because I play with a lot of rookies, so they looked a lot at me. So everything I did, it was fine, kind of. So I had to make sure that I did good stuff, because they will actually try to imitate them, and they will ask me for advice a lot of times. And I tried also like to be the best leader possible per se. Like it took a lot of inspiration on Perks, which I think it's the ghost from Europe. Like I think he has never probably been the best player, but I think he was the best player. And what I mean with this is, I think, for example, when he was playing mid lane, I always thought Caps was better, but for some reason, Perk's team always performed better, right? And it's just because this guy, I don't know what he does to his teammates, I don't know how he behaves or what he plans ahead, but normally, wherever this guy is, success is behind him, And he made so many teams and so many different rosters succeed. So I just was like, if this guy is doing something to his teammates and making sure that everyone is the best version of themselves, I'm just gonna try to incorporate this aspect, because a lot of times ADCs are just looked as players who have like a lot of fans, no brain, no talk, just right click, do everything perfect. And I think that's just like AD carries being lazy because you can always bring so much outside the rift and inside the rift even. Like I actually shot call too, but I hate shot calling, but I actually can shot call as well. But like you can bring so much outside the rift, like being a good teammate, like taking care of them, like being a leader. I think like there's those aspects are really important. And if I'm needed to be those ones, then just be it.
That's why you have a lot of experience, and it's good to bring that into your own team. And if we're talking about someone that went from LPLL to world stage, I would like to ask you, what is the most unforgettable moment in League history for you that you've experienced?
I think I'll probably have 3 moments that are like really like next to each other. The first one is obviously when we managed to win the Challenger Series qualifier. It was the very last one, 2017 Summer Split.
Oh boy! Yeah.
It was literally the last one, and I did not want to play it. I don't know if I ever said this publicly, but I did not want to play it. Okay, like we were like doing not so good on Spanish League, and I was a new player. I was like 19 years old, something like this. And then I was like, Lozark came to me, like the esports director of Giants. Back then he was like the coach, but he retired, so he was like new at this job. And he came to me and he's like, "Hey, do you want to play this Challenger Series qualifier?" And I said, "I don't think I'm ready. Go get someone else." And then he grabbed me and he said, "You are playing this Challenger Series qualifier." And I'm like, okay, boss. Like if you believe in me, what can I say? And actually, for some reason, everyone, like all the experts back then, will put us like last place because we were like 4 rookies, right? Like Jizuke that had like super bad split as well and bad reputation. Me that was like a nobody. Jack Troll who was like a 16 or 17 years old kid, Polish that spammed 3K games of fresh. Gilius that just came from like being like replaced by Kikis like for the 4th time in a row. And then we had Rin. I remember, all the way back like from Korea, So everyone was like, who are these teams, right? Like back then there was PSG and Red Bull, like all these big orgs trying to get onto the last spot, and I didn't expect to win myself. Honestly, I just wanted to do the best possible, right? But we ended up like just really bonding well together, and we actually ended up winning. So that's for sure one of the biggest moments ever, because like I remember like all the Spanish and the Portuguese community, all the Iberian community was like really supporting us, and that was just amazing. Honestly, and as well like it was a very historical moment because it was the first time a Portuguese and an Italian guy went to the LCS back then.
Mhm.
So it was really special. The second one, I will say it was when we qualified to Worlds. It's like a bit of a mix because it was like our third and fourth match against like this Misfits really good roster, you know, with Alfari, Mickey X, Hansama. Actually, it's so fucking stacked, this team. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And we actually managed to beat them, so it was really, really nice experience. And then when Fnatic actually, you know, like won against Schalke, because Schalke could have made it directly. So it was amazing. Like it was also like everyone, all the palace was like surrounded, and I had like a big hit on the Spanish community since I'm a weird dude, you know. I'm Portuguese, but like people think I'm Spanish because I speak super good Spanish, and
You have a lot
it's
of
like a
nationalities
mix.
stacked up
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
do.
literally. So it was really fun. It was amazing, you know. Like all the Spanish people there seeing me crying, seeing my team crying. You know, I was like as well with my sister and my ex girlfriend. So it was crazy amazing. And the third one, I will say, it was the last day at Worlds on the group stage that we almost had like this magical dream, right? That we were on this group of death with like the ex world champion and the MSI two-time LPL champion on this year, and yeah, apparently everyone ranked Uzi as the best player in the world, and he was on my role. So I was like, oof, it's gonna be a hard one, right? Like I've seen this guy play so many worlds, and I'm just here competing against him, and we just managed to win against them and put in Genji out on the same day, and I was like, wow, this we're going all the way in, right, guys? Like at the end, it was like a bittersweet story, but it was really nice. Like the start of this day, you know, like when we beat Genji, I was not even excited. I was just like, just another day on the job, baby, you know.
Oh,
So I was so happy that day.
so those are the top three memories you have of League of Legends so far in your career. So far in your career, really good to highlight this one. But I want to ask you, what is the most painful moment for you in your League of Legends career?
I'll have to say that for sure it's when we got eliminated from the group stage, like for sure. I'd say it's either that or when Schalke won against us. I'd say, if I'm not mistaken, the picture that they took from me in Giotto, like the my ex-coach that is also Portuguese, when he beat me, I was like crying on stage, and he just came to comfort me. I think it was nominated as best picture on esports that year, and I'm not even sure if it won, but I know it was nominated because it's actually a really powerful photo.
It
But
is.
I just don't like that. I was really, really sad. You know, I just thought like this year we finished second on regular split. We only finished behind Fnatic the year that they went to the final of the world. Like they were really good back then. And yeah, like I was just really hoping that I will get my first final in my first year, like having to face Reckless that I always looked up to do, you know. I was like really hoping for that, and then we just got our dreams crashed per se on the semifinals by losing 3-1. And yeah, that moment was real sad. And then at Worlds, like after, it's also the same. Like at Worlds, we eliminate Genji from the World Championship. We win RNG, and then we go and lose to C9. And then yeah, I'm just there sitting, you know, really sad. And then I'm there sitting how RNG is winning Genji, so we have no more chances at passing groups. And then I remember that day I just cried like I never cried before. I cried like for 2 hours straight. Everyone was so sad, and yeah, it was really painful back then. Like, really, really painful. Just not because like we didn't expect it could happen, but because we really believed that we had everything that it took to get out of that group. You know.
Yeah, you felt the opportunity was there to leave the group after what
Mhm.
you did to Legends. And I want to ask you, how do you recover from a punch like that? Because that must feel like trash.
Mhm.
How do you come back from that one as a player?
I mean, back then it was with a lot of soju, and back then we tried to recover with a lot of soju and just travel back to Europe. But yeah, like it's just another experience, right? Like it just happens. Like the beauty of competition is that there's always everyone deserves, you know, to win per se. Like everyone is try harding on their own way. They are putting the effort, they're putting the hours. but at the end of the day, only one team wins, right? It's actually tragic if you think about it. Like if you see, like for example, every league has at least 10 teams. On these 10 teams, you have like 5 players each on every team. So it's more than 50 people plus the coaches behind, plus the analysts behind, plus managers behind, and only one team wins. So you just gotta realize that like it's a bit selfish to think that you will always win, right? Even though you're gonna try your best, but a lot of times like there are a lot of people that put a lot of effort and a lot of passion and they are never able to win. So you should always be happy that you're doing what you like and do your job on a such high level back then on LC, right? And just trying to enjoy the moment. So that's at least what I tried to do back then. Obviously some days I'm just, I just feel like listening to Adele all day, like while just playing solitaire or some stuff. But like better days always come.
And you bring a good point of view, which is there's a lot of teams and only one can win. And we are approaching a big stage right now, which is the European Masters. You are on the Group B. I think it's a group of death. You have LDLC, Archarom, and Ivan Anastasius Famagusta. After your defeat versus Dusty on playoffs of NLC, do you think that defeat on the finals, probably your first finals that you lost so far? Now that I think about it, I think this was the first
probably
one.
yeah.
Yeah, this was the first one, so even worse. Do you think that one was a wake-up call for X7 because you guys seemed immortal during the split after the Viking joined in? You think that was a wake-up call? Was that painful? How are you guys doing right now when you have to face Group B of the U Masters?
I mean, back then it was such a pain in the ass, honestly. Like, you just go there, like we were, 16-1 or 17-1 on the last 18 games. It was crazy, our record, right? So we're like, we're just going to win NLC, try hard against the good teams on European Masters and just see what happens. But yeah, like, just Asti had the best of us that day. And they actually really deserved to win. Like, it was actually a good win, like because they were also 2-0 down, so that takes a lot of mental effort to actually come back from a 2-0 deficit on a final. And yeah, I think like I don't think it's ever good to lose per se. You just lost. That happens. But I think like you can always take away a good stuff from it. Like, for example, there are two type of losses: the losses that you just lose and then you cry on a river while you're just like watching Titanic for the 4th time in a row, or there are the losses that you just it's like when an ex leaves you, like when you're in a relationship and they leave you and then you go to the personal trainer and he says, what's your goal? And then you say, I want her to regret it, and then you're like, oh, beast mode. So yeah, it's like you just go and you make sure that Dusty regrets winning against you by just winning the whole thing, right? That's kind of our goal.
Okay.
And that's kind of what we're working for it. Like right now, it's going to be tough because, for example, I believe on our group is probably the best contender to win the whole thing. That is LDLC. They reached finals of the other European Masters, 2 times LFL winners, and I think they're just in a good shape, and they're also in a good mood and a good ramp up. Like to finish the year, like if they win this, it's like the players are probably gonna have like a lot of good offers. So I think this team is gonna be a tough opponent. I think LFL overall, it's really good league, so it's hard to beat LFL, and I feel like Spain also brings some pretty decent teams plus UOL. So I think overall it's hard, but the goal is to win. So if you don't go there and then you have confidence in yourself, you might as well just lose like Excel on the planes, and just go home earlier.
And we were talking about your masters, and I want to ask you because you've been on the LEC back in the day, LCS. You've been on the top of the world, literally. What do you think is keeping you from getting there again? Because let's be honest, you want to go there. You want to be at the top stage. This is what Attila is, a top contender. What do you think is the barrier between you and that next stage?
I mean, I think one of the biggest reasonings why I haven't gotten another chance, at least, to go back there is that I think AD carry is probably the best role on Europe thus far. I think overall, like if you see it, like they take a role, there are like plenty of really good players. Actually, like they keep getting imported as well and all this stuff. So it's a hard role to be main of. Like you just have like a lot of contenders. Second of all, like to 2019 was a wild year, like really wild year. Because I do believe like I saw like some chart that I was like top 4 AD carry with the best win ratio on LEC with like 100 games or some stuff. So my records were not bad whatsoever, right? Like I never missed playoffs, like went to Worlds on my first year. So overall, my records were not bad, but I guess just like unfortunate circumstances back then, and then 2020 was the year that I think like they had like 4 rookies as ADC or some stuff like this. Like that LEC just went with the rookie year. They're like, we're just gonna try this. So yeah, everything like connected, and then after I guess I just didn't do good enough on European Masters because I think that's probably the last step that I have to prove that I'm just the best on ERL, to just say, hey, I'm still here, I'm still relevant, just give me one shot, I'll do your teamwork. So maybe that's what's lacking thus far, or it's just like a lucky charm opportunity. I think to go on LC you have to have 2 things. One is a lot of talent, and the other one is opportunity. Because I think like, yeah, sometimes you're really good, but your role is taken, and the other year, like your role, like 3 players retire to go to NA to retirement as well, and then you're just like there, like, you're like, hello, I'm here, and then they're like, oh, you have talent, you can actually play good. So I think it's having a good timer, putting the work, putting the dedication, and maybe I'll be able to just kick some kids still on the LEC.
Style on some kids, as Goldberg usually says. And Attila, you're talking about investing time and investing yourself, and this is something that I've been getting from a lot of players, which is being willing to let go of other things in life, to put league above everything else, sacrifice whatever they have. I think you agree on this one. And when you look back, is there something that you sacrificed, not that you regret, but you kind of miss it?
Also, probably a lot of relationships, like friendship relationships. Like, it's not like I was a super social guy overall. I'm kind of strange on the aspect of relationships. Like, I kind of don't dislike people, but I like to be alone per se. Like I like my me time per se. Like, I really enjoy just having my own company every day. Like, it's just I have like a social bar, and if it gets full, like on the day, I just need to go out and then not talk to anybody the rest of the day. So I think like the only relationships I had back then, I had to kind of let it go as well, because you have to travel a lot while being a professional player. So it's really hard to keep up, and then you have to play for 6-8 hours a day with the team, and then obviously you have to put in the individual work. So it's like a lot of hours every day. So you just kind of like these relationships, they don't really fully go, but obviously they get on worse states, like even like amorous relationships.
Yeah.
So I kind of miss being a normal dude per se. Like, like it was nice. Like, for example, this life where I was just there talking about how my day went or how bored I am, and just not having to worry about anything. Because nowadays, like when you're on the pro scene, right, you're a public figure, so everyone has an opinion about you, either you like it or not, and then you always you're always expected to have everything under control, and it's actually hard to have everything under control.
Attila, if there was no League of Legends in your life, who would Amadeu Carvalho be? What dream would you be following?
Back then, I really wanted one thing. It was to be a psychologist. Like, I was actually looking forward to be one when I moved up to Switzerland, because I lived there for like 1.5 years or some stuff like this. Just like I had to learn French to study in the university, and it was like a really insane amount of high level French. Like, I speak French, but like low level. Like I can understand everything, but my French is a little bit like rusty. But I just didn't like it, didn't put enough effort, and back then I was still on the part-time job on the esports career, right? And then everything went off, so I just decided to live like the studies per se, like and to stop pursuing this dream of like being a psychologist, just to pursue the dream of being like a professional player. But otherwise, maybe I will just be a psychologist, just dealing with some kids depressed because they lost Solcu.
They lost solo queue. I mean, I kind of need a psychologist myself about that. But
I'll be dealing with myself probably.
yes. Attila, last question for you is: if you could talk with your past self, what would you say to him?
Oh, I know for sure what I will say. I will say just look at myself more and not look to the others. I think like one of the only things that I really truly regret about my career is that I think I stalled so much time just because I liked people, you know. Like I stayed like on some teams, and I stayed, for example, in Portugal for like 2 years, like not really gaining much from it, just
Yeah.
because I wanted to have like this dream of putting a full Portuguese team there. You know, when like on the last year people just left for like a couple euros, and I think like overall like a lot of times I was just too nice of a dude per se. You know, I was too nice, and then I was like, I'll just put others in front of me instead of like putting myself as a priority. And I think that affected me a bit on my career, like on some decisions that I made. Like I could have like maybe gotten like a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So I will for sure to say be a little bit more selfish. Like don't think too much about other people, because some people might stab you in the back.
Some people might do. Attila, thank you so much for this one, and best of luck for Group B. You're gonna start your journey tomorrow. Let's see if you guys
Mm-hmm.
can win versus LDLC. Best of luck on that one, and thank you so much for this one, Attila.
Thank
You
you very
guys back at
much.
home, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.